Hello and welcome to the Legends of Tabletop podcast. We're getting ready to jump into our runners campaign, session 9 tonight. I'm going to kick it over to Jesse. We just had like a 10-minute conversation about what the hell happened last time because nobody remembered. So we have it mostly figured out, and then we'll see what happens tonight.
Piece it all together. Solve the puzzle. So yeah, last session, we did a little bit more cleanup and follow through from their return from the burnt in their last mission. So Smokey did some more drinking in Marla's bar. Huxley talked a little bit to Miss Joanna in order to kind of make sure she's okay with what's going on. And Zuchy decided to train a little bit more. Huxley kind of found something out that he's not sure he wanted to, in terms of that Miss Joanna kind of is lying to him, but for his own good, to make him feel better. She doesn't want him to run, but she understands that he wants to, so she supports him. Smokey, while in the bar, saw Marla kind of uneasily doing some conversing and potential business with a few people wearing that LLI badge on their sleeves. And likewise, when Zuchy found a local gym, he wanted someone to spar with. And there was a woman, Mara, who was like, hell yeah, I'll take him on. And she ended up kicking his ass within like 6 or 7 seconds. And when she kind of went back to her bag, sure enough, she pulls a jacket out from under it that has that same LLI insignia kind of sewn onto the side. And along with that, Zuchy also
Loves her.
with the events of Huxley. Yeah, he's now got a little bit of a crush. With the events that happened with Huxley and the burnt, and kind of almost losing him to that Ravager, it's brought up some memories of some of his siblings from the past as well. And so when Smokey was in the bar talking to Marla, she kind of called in that favor from the she had given him the information on the scrub that kind of helped them get along to Green Hills. And she called in that favor and asked if he could do a run for her to go collect some stuff up in another null zone. And he obliged. And that's pretty much where we're at. So they did a little bit of research on the other zone, on the null, basically finding that there was no information on it. That Tazane ends up is kind of a blank spot on the map. And so with that information, or kind of lack thereof, it's time to get into preparing for the run. So with that, is there anything that you want to do on a personal level before you get into the prep work?
I don't think so for me.
Yeah.
I don't think Smokey would go back to talk to Marla until after.
Yeah.
Because he popped his well, he didn't pop his face, and he saw the other two people sitting in the bar that were giving Marla a bit of, that she seemed acting a bit weird. I think he would let that stew a bit. He wouldn't go back and see if there was any follow-up on that until after the run, because when we were talking, I think Huxley pointed out that what we're going to do might be something that that those two might have been talking to Marla about. She seemed to be a bit agitated that she needed that favor called in now. So I think Huxley said that maybe that what we're going to get is for them. So I wouldn't want to. Smokey wouldn't want to go stir it up anymore until afterwards.
Yeah, sounds good.
And he's got to dry out a bit for the run. He doesn't want to after last night. But I don't think Smokey stayed very long. So he just had a couple.
I mean, I think the only thing before we left, if Miss Joanna was at work, Huxley would just let her know that they were leaving, right? Like he wouldn't just bounce. So he would at least touch base just to say that, they were headed out, they expected to be, at such and such place, such and such time. They should be back by, such and such.
Mm-hmm.
Just to make her feel more comfortable, I guess.
Yeah, and when you do that, she kind of gives you the standard answers and just tells you, just make sure you're careful, be prepared, stay out of trouble, anything that seems like it could be dangerous, run away. Like, there's no need to be brave. It's better to be safe.
I mean, I think it should be okay. I mean, now we have a little bit more experience. We know what we should be looking for. So I think we'll be okay.
I'm sure you will. I'm sure you will be. I'm sure between you and your friends, you'll all watch out for each other.
That's what we do.
And she kind of like ruffles your hair and then goes back. She's kind of in the middle of her rounds as you've come to talk to her. So, so she'll continue.
When she ruffles my hair, she steps back to walk away and he leans in to give her a hug before, she steps away.
Oh, all right. Yeah. And she at first will do this like the one arm, almost like a quick pat, but then like you feel her hand stay there for a moment and then she goes in with both arms.
All right, Mom, I'll see you when I get back. It'll be fine.
I know.
Smokey will stay away from Miss Joanna also. He doesn't want to get he doesn't want to get tuned up before the run.
Nice. All right, yeah. So in that case, what do you want to do now?
So based on the research that we did last time, we know how far it is in theory, right? Or do we need to do? Okay, so we know what we need to do essentially.
I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think I think Huxley did get some stuff on his, display. He pulled up where we're going in the direction, unless I'm conflating that with, I think.
Yeah,
we were sitting around talking, I think.
Yeah, it was northwest.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, so Tazane is northwest of Ingram. You'd have to travel through the burnt area known as Sturbridge, or formerly known as Sturbridge. It's, like you said, a longer run. So Sturbridge was a former city. It's a pretty dry area. So not a lot of wildlife and not a lot of, tree cover or anything like that. Very kind of scrublandish. Because of that, it's kind of open. And so if the cloud cover is there, then you'll have a good time. If there's open skies, though, it can get pretty hot out there, especially for this area. There is it's mostly you'll have to contend with wildlife there. Not a lot of people. The average radiation is about 6 grays. But because it was the site of an A-bomb explosion, there's actually no real spike area, so to speak of. So it's pretty much just a blanket radiation level. The run that you'll be doing is from Ingram to Tizane is 3,280 blocks.
Okay.
So how long would that usually take us to get there then?
Depends on how fast you guys are.
Who's the slowest? Smokey.
Yeah. Yeah. So did you make any changes, upgrades, swap anything out on your suit?
So Zuchy and I went and swapped the gun, right? And then we've got
Yeah, so you
some stuff
you upgraded your shielding.
I think
Shielding,
you
yeah.
got better filters, maybe too.
I think
Yeah.
I think I had the filter because it was fiberglass filter you said to take.
That's right, yeah.
And I had that already. So we swapped that for
The carbon filter.
carbon filter. Okay.
So all of you are running at a 5 shielding right now.
Okay.
And it looks like, let's see, the Medicus is running at a 7 speed, Boomer is at a 3, and the T-71 is at a 2.
2?
But I don't know what your speeds. I should have wrote down your speeds.
I am definitely at a 7.
Oh, you're at a total 7. That's right.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't write down what. That's why the Boomer and the T-71, I wrote down what their bonus to speed is, but not what your total speed is.
So is that the plus grace?
Yep. So what's the what is Smokey's grace?
2.
2. All right. And what is Zuchy's grace?
His grace is a 3.
3. All right. So there you go. 5 and 5. So it looks like your average, your low speed is going to be Boomer and T-71 at 5. So if we crunch some quick math, that's an average of 300. And if we do the 380 divided by the 300, you're looking at an 11-hour run.
Oof.
That's out and back or just out?
That's just out.
Okay.
So that means we're going to take 11 radiation damage. At least. Because our shielding's at 5. So we're gonna take a gray every hour.
Correct. Yep.
Don't love that.
So there's a couple of things you can do. You can either, now you know that you're looking at a pretty sizable payout for this run. I believe she said she's going to pay like 1.5 times what the one run would normally be.
Something like that.
So you're looking at a pretty decent payout. So when you get back, you can maybe hope for either some meds when you get back, or a soak in an ISAT tank, or You could, if you have any rep on you right now, use that to potentially upgrade before the run, or you could take on some debt and upgrade now and pay off the debt when you come back.
I guess maybe we should have maybe done some of this off air. Do you have the most current version of the gear list?
I do.
You want to?
I'll drop it in Discord.
All right. So I'm sure this is riveting for everyone watching.
It is. Well, actually, if you have the most recent, if you have the version of Runners, the most recent version, then that is the updated gear list. I haven't futzed with gear yet.
I don't know what the most current version is.
I
have so many versions.
I've got.
Here, I'll drop this in just in case then. There you go.
There you
go. What is it that you're looking at, though?
I don't know because I don't know what's there relative to
all right.
I
well
currently have.
So let's see. Right now, you're all running carbon filters, right?
I think so.
So in order to do a filter upgrade, an air filter upgrade, you're going to have to go all the way up to the UV, which is which costs 3 rep. Whereas, let's see, T71's at Plascrete, Boomer's at Plascrete. What's the Medicus running for shielding?
My shielding is it doesn't say on this sheet. Hold on, I gotta open up another sheet.
Oh, you're horrible at this.
Yeah, well, I think after 8 years I might figure out how to coordinate all that stuff. Let's see. He has for shielding Plascrete. So one.
So you're all running Plascrete.
Yep.
So you could do an upgrade to the CMF, which is only a cost 2.
Which would only
and if you want to take the time, depending on what what the 3 of you want to do, you could always strip your current shielding off, try to hawk that as an upgrade, so you'd end up paying a little less, but it would cost you extra time in actually stripping it out.
So we could bump the shielding up 1.
Which would average you out to 6.
Yeah, I might be. I mean, I think I'd be willing to do that. Because the drain's the same, the speed hits the same.
Yep. And you actually get a shield bump and an armor bump.
Which would put me at 3 armor.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like that.
What about the 2 of you?
That looks like the most feasible without getting us locked into anything. Smokey owes enough to enough people. He doesn't want to be in hawk to too many other people.
Well, I'm kind of looking at mine, and my speed is only 2 right now, which is not great.
Yeah. Well, plus you also get to add your grace to that. So between the 2 from your suit and then the 3 from Zuchy, that bumps you up to a 5.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize that's what that was then. Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Well then, hey, then I don't feel so bad about it.
Yeah. So that puts Zuchy and Smokey on the same level. So Huxley in the Medicus is a little bit faster than you guys, which means he can either scout ahead and wait for you, or you can all travel as a group. That's
Yeah, I
something
think
that you
after
can
last
figure out
time, I
on
think
the
we
run.
need to be by him,
Yeah.
especially for going out into the nothingness of Sturbridge or whatever.
Right.
So I have a secondary question. Does Smokey
up?
have enough power to make an 11-hour run? Because he was close on the last run, and that was only supposed to be 8 or 9.
That is true.
So I've got. Where is that?
And are we using the new power system stuff, or are we still rolling the way we're rolling? I know we haven't talked about it in a while.
You know what? Yeah, we'll do that. I'll that's a super easy conversion that I can just kind of make and then talk you guys through if it ends up coming up.
Okay.
But yeah. So it looks like the boomer has a 15 drain and a 40 energy supply.
So that 15 drain is with the carbon and the CMF, right? If we're going that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, there's no. Oh no, there's no way you have a 15 drain. You
No,
have
I
a
thought it
5
was
drain.
13. Yeah.
There's no way you have 15. Yeah, that's a 5.
5, yeah.
So,
yeah.
so I'll get you 5, 10,
Yeah,
15,
5.
20, 20,
Yeah.
30, 35, 40. So that'll get you 8 hours.
What did I
So
do?
basically, in order to get under that, even Zuchy is in the T71 is going to be pushing it. You can do a 10-hour run.
Okay.
So you can either increase your power or, you know, Hux has a crazy battery supply. And if you want to kind of act as a recharge station and give them a little boost of power at some point, you're muted. He's not listening.
Muted.
Are you talking to me? Oh,
No,
I'm
John.
talking and
He's
no one can hear me.
He's talking away, and I told him he's muted twice, and he didn't listen.
God, John, quit talking to yourself. Talk to us.
Yeah, I have
We're here
the,
for you.
the power cables and the tools and all the stuff to be able to do that.
Yep.
Is my transferring my power from the 80 going to be enough to get us all there? I guess is the question.
Well, if Smokey is able to cut 1 power from his suit, which I think would be pretty, like if you turn your if you just keep your Geiger counter off, that'll keep you at 4.
And I think we said that on the last run too, that Smokey shed the
Exactly,
Geiger.
yep.
So yeah, he's quite happy to do that again.
Right.
And I have
So
one
that'll put you
anyway.
at 4, and that'll get you 10 hours. So if Huxley can give 4 power to Zuchy and 4 power to Smokey, that'll get them in right under the timer.
Okay.
Mm.
Sweet.
I don't like getting just under the timer though. I mean, we're
Well,
kind of
Huxley's-
just surviving here, and I understand that's runners, but you know, I'd like to have one where we don't just survive, and we actually
Right.
So my
Well,
power is at
what's the
80.
Medicus's drain?
Drain is 6
6
with a power
alright.
80.
Yeah. So that gives you 13 hours of runtime.
This is what blue caps are for.
So I can't
Zuchy,
give
so
them
we're
each
good.
4 then.
Hmm.
Right. The most I could give them is 1 each then.
No, that's not true.
Right. If I can run for 13 hours and I give them each an hour's worth of power.
Then that'll put you at 11 hours, and it'll bump them up to 11 hours.
To 11 hours.
So all 3 of you would be right at line.
I don't love that. So what sort of batteries are you guys running with?
They are both running the orb reactors.
Yeah.
I've got 4
Okay.
drains, so it's not as bad, but it's still not great.
So then this becomes like a mechanical, like maybe outside game issue, right? Because the next 2 steps up both only cost 1.
Yeah.
But then so if you're running, oh no, you're good because the orb takes up a size 2. So if we kick in an extra cost, right? So the riding costs 1 and the size is 2 and the power is 80. That's what I'm running at.
Yep.
So if you guys help, okay, all right, let's do this character. So we're like going through all the run stuff and like figuring out all the math and all the shit.
Yep.
Smokey's gone through a half a pack of
You're
smokes
in the
while we're
prep
doing this.
room. Yep. You're in the prep room. You have
Kyle.
the holographics pulled up of each suit, like Iron Man style, blowing it apart, checking the stats, seeing what works.
And Huxley's like, well, so I know Miss Marla wanted us to do this right away, but even with the extra shielding, it looks, I mean, we're gonna take a lot of hit on the radiation. That's almost 12, 11 if there's no trouble. I could probably, I mean, we each have one rep, so we can if you guys help me, I could pull off the plascrete and maybe we can upgrade to the next level. On the suits, we can go to the what the fuck's it called again? The CMF. But the power is a concern too, because you guys aren't going to be able to run that far. I know it's an extra cost, but she said she was going to pay us pretty good, and I can kick in some of mine, but if you guys upgrade your upgrade your batteries to the riding, because that's what I have, and it's got 80 power, and it should be able to get us there and back with no trouble at all. I mean, it's a little extra work, but I think we could do it.
Are you? So you want us to sell back our 2 pieces each to see if we get anything back from that, and then kick in the rep we each have, or no, the rep Zuchy and Smokey have, right? To buy that. Is that what you're saying, Huxley?
Yeah.
So if we trade into the plascrete, get someone to buy it, we'll grab the CMF. Was that the CMF? Yep, CMF.
Yeah.
And then swap the orb out for the riding, right?
I mean, we have to take on a little bit of debt, I guess. But when we come back, we should be able to pay it right back.
As I said when we were talking about taking this run, it's a democracy, so I'll let you guys also chip in. Obviously, Huxley mapped out a way to do it to get us there and back in one piece. Being in debt's being in debt, right? I don't really care about that. I just want to make sure we get back. But Zuchy's going to have to decide if he's up for that also. To me, it sounds like the best move, right? Huxley looked at it, even not just for this run, just in general, not for this specific one. I think this keeps us a bit safer and sounder. So if we're gonna get a score on this one that's a bit more than normal, then we're gonna be in debt for what, 22 hours, hopefully, at the latest, out and back. That, to me, that's fine. I can be in debt for a day.
Well, so I mean, maybe only one of us has to do it because we each had one from when we got back, and then there was an extra, and we just we stuck it in the in like the pool. So like we have an extra. So I'll use mine to upgrade to the CMF, and then we have one in the bank, so we wouldn't have to take on too much.
So when Huxley says that, Smokey will put up his hand to stop him and say, okay, if we're if we don't want to empty the bank, then Smokey looks at Zuchy and says, "Why don't you gear up yourself? If then Huxley can use his reserve, if he can give me a shot of adrenaline from his reserve, let's keep that little extra bit for gearing me up in the bank. Zuchy, why don't you get the 2 extra pieces, and then when we get back after this run, I promise I'll buy some gear for myself." So I think Smokey's just thinking, if we can get away with saving a bit of that rep,
Sure.
then let's do it, right? Because it is a team, and he doesn't want to, he's not hogging all the money. He's not looking to, have like an Iron Man suit, right? He doesn't really care. If we can get out and back with you two a bit safer, then he's happy to do that. So that's kind of his justification for not spending it all now, even though a minute ago he said he would. But if if it's a choice between putting us in debt or, having Zuchy patched up more and still Smokey being able to make the run with a bit of help from Huxley, he'd rather do that.
Right. All right. Well,
Smokey, a penny pincher. I never would have thought it.
As
They're
I
always
said,
at the
Zuchy,
bar just throwing credits all over the place. So, it's interesting.
as I said, I've got a lot more outflows than inflows at the moment. I don't want to add another. I always get confused red and black. I don't want to add another red line to that. I'll take care of that and make.
Are you
them
talking
all
about
black.
Are you talking about your gas? Because definitely your outflows are definitely more than your inflows for sure.
Smokey blows a big puff of smoke up in the air. I think I'd be much happier, Zuchy, if you got the stuff. This is a run that, not that I had to do a bunch of convincing, right? But this was brought up by me and recommended by me. So if there is a payoff at the end where we get a bit more, I'll wait till then to spend it to get my suit up. Huxley can always take care of me when we're out running. But since you guys agreed to go out and do this one for me, I'd rather, Zuchy, you get the mods and I'll get mine when we get back. Let's just say this is some delayed gratification and making sure you guys are all covered to make the run.
Well, you just got to make sure that once we get back, you actually get some upgrades to their Slowpoke.
I promise. After we go talk to Marlon and get our after we talk to Marlon and get our payoff, I'll head right over to the shop and get up on the rack and get my oil changed and my tires rotated. I promise I'll get that. I promise I'll get that done. Because I got a feeling that I may be laid up a bit trying to recover. So if my suit's in the shop for a bit, then that'll give the body and the suit some time to heal up.
Well, let's hope it don't come to that.
At least for you guys. For me, yeah, whatever.
Don't say that, Mr. Smokey.
It's called gallows humor, kid. It's all good. If you can't joke about it now, then get it out of your system now, then be serious on the run. That's the way I look at it.
Okay. Do you I mean, if one of you guys wants to help me, that'd be great. Does somebody want to run over to the shop and see whether or not they would buy the Plascrete? I mean, they should be able to reuse it. I can't see why not.
You want? I was just gonna metagame, but I won't.
Mr. Smokey, you seem pretty charming.
Well, so I will say
that's why
I will say you all it's just kind of general knowledge, right? That you're in a hub of the organization that has a pretty substantial footprint in Ingram, right? It's a pretty sizable location. So because of that, they have a lot of reserve in terms of parts and equipment. So that's kind of how I'm sure if you talk to them, they'll probably have some additional shielding that they'll be willing to sell to you.
Okay.
In fact, that's kind of how they keep the runners connected to them, right? As long as you still owe them something, then you still need to do runs for us. So, you need more shielding? You're going on this difficult run? We'll gladly trade you out as long as you're willing to owe us still.
And I think we went and sold the gun because I think wasn't Zuchy knew someone to go sell it to, right? So that's the only reason
that wasn't really something you could take to the organization and be like, hey, we found this.
Right. So
it's like, don't worry about the fact that it's also imprinted to a runner that is on your records.
So will they will they trade essentially, right? So like in a meta mechanical sense, right? Like the Plascrete is 1 rep and the CMF is 2. So do we owe them a single rep then, assuming they make a successful roll to pull the Plascrete off the suit or whatever?
As long as you're able to pull it off in one piece without damaging it, and they don't have to do any repairs to it, it'll be not an even trade, obviously, but they'll give you the rep it's worth. So and you just have to either pay the extra or take on debt for the extra.
So Smokey's sitting on a desk, right? So he's not sitting on a chair. He's sitting on a desk or a table or whatever. So he says, how about this as a trade? You two peel that stuff off the suit and I'll go do the talking and swap it over. I don't think you want me fumbling with anything that could break or cost us money. So I'll sit here and send you positive vibes, but I'll go do the talking if you do the unscrewing of the pieces.
He holds up his 7 fingers.
So that makes sense, because Smokey would be, because he's an older one, right? He's the oldest of the group. He would go over because he would figure, if Smokey's got to build a bit of a narrative and why we're swapping them and stuff like that, he can spin some kind of yarn to get them. As you said, it's part of the group, right? It's the union or the organization or whatever. He'll just say, we've got to run. We got to swap some stuff out. Put it on my tab, kind of thing. Put it on our tab, kind of thing. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
And the only reason I was saying goofing around about the metagaming was, obviously we'll get these pieces unless Smokey goes in and just starts, flaming up everybody because it is, as you said, then we're in their debt. The who we went to was Zuchy to sell the rifle was someone Zuchy knew. So, that was kind of why I was saying, and my charm isn't that good, John. So
Smokey. So Huxley doesn't know that.
Yeah.
So Smokey will pull out one good luck cigarette and fire it up while I'm assuming Zuchy and Huxley try to take apart Zuchy's suit. Get off. What is it? The Plascrete and the orb also, right? Because we're going to swap that out.
Yep.
Yeah, we'd have to take on
at least for one of the suits. Yeah.
For Zuchy,
And if I'm able to pull it off, the CMF is, the difference will be 1, and we each all have 1.
Yeah.
And then there's 1 in reserve. So again, if we could swap out, I think the orb was a 0 cost. So we won't get anything for that. Yeah. But we do have 1 in the bank, so we could go in debt for 1 rep.
Yeah, because we said we all had 1, and then we had 1 in the community chest, right? Yeah.
So one debt's not terrible.
Yeah.
Mm.
So I don't think Huxley would really think anything of it, right? Like me, meta, be like, all right, just hand me screwdrivers, right? Like, don't fuck this up. Right, like in a mechanical, like a helping role. But I don't think Huxley wouldn't think that way. So he'd be like, okay, all right, Mr. Zuchy. So we need to like pry these off here. Like I'm, need these, and he's like pointing out tools and stuff, and like lining shit up on the table, and he's wiping everything down and getting everything ready. He's got like a towel down to like put the stuff down on, like he's, going to work.
And I would think the type of person Huxley is he would like be explaining stuff as he goes along, right? This is connected to that, and this is what that whether it's just because it's knowledge you have and you want to impart that, or so I would assume there's like a commentary going along about what each of the things are while he's doing it.
I think so, kind of.
And Zuchy's like trying to grab stuff for him, and he's like, "This," and you're like, "No, this, no, that's." Oh, wow, okay. He doesn't know anything. He's basically it's like me with anything handy. I can't do it, so I just go, "How do you do this?" and then try to do it.
So while we're getting ready to do that, Smokey like leans over the table and pulls out a drawer and gets a piece of paper and just scribbles down, quiet men at work, and he goes out to the door and sticks it on the front of the door and closes the door.
All right. I'm assuming you're going to want to roll for each suit.
So we're going to roll. We're actually going to roll for each part.
So we're just doing Zuchy, right? We're not doing Smokey suit.
No, because you need the shield.
The plastic. Okay, yeah. So we're doing we're just not doing the generator. Okay, gotcha.
Yep.
So here's the thing. So normally it is, in order to upgrade, it is a day per part. But depending on if you're successful and how successful you are, that can drop that time. Like for instance, when Huxley did the upgrades for Boomer and the T-71 for the shielding and the filters before, what should have been a 2-hour a 2-day upgrade, and we're talking days in like putting in like a 7 to 8 hour workday, right? Yeah. If you want to push longer than that, you can, but then you kind of it's more of a physical thing than actual, so we can do that to kind of shrink it. But so what would have taken you a 2-day thing ended up only taking you, I think, like 5 hours because you rolled so incredibly well for those checks.
Gotcha.
So similar thing. So off the bat, in standard terms, you're replacing the shielding for 3 suits and the battery for 1.
Mm-hmm.
So we are, in theory, looking at a 4-day upgrade for these.
Okay.
But we'll see between Zuchy helping, and even at this point, if we want to kind of, what we can do is, would Smokey over the course of the couple of days help at all with this?
Yeah. So if it's a matter of, moving stuff around or, yeah. So I just don't want to, Smokey doesn't want to be touching any, screwdrivers or tools or anything. But, he'll help, he'll help, moving stuff around, carrying it, stuff like that. He just doesn't want to be in, using his hands to finally
perfect
manipulate things.
None of the fine detail work. Yeah. So what I'll do is I'll have Zuchy and Smokey roll helping rolls. And then in that too, if there is anything that Smokey or Zuchy want to do, because I know Kevin, you had said that you want Smokey to kind of go handle something else. But this is kind of like the two of you either bouncing in and out or helping whenever you can kind of thing. It's really Huxley is the one that has to be there like the whole time doing the upgrades.
Yeah. So Smokey will go on, refreshment runs if he needs to, right?
Right, there you go.
I think the only running that Smokey had to do, unless I forgot something, Jesse, was I think Smokey was just going to go swap the stuff out to get the other
gotcha.
part.
Okay, yeah.
There's
perfect. All right, yeah.
Else.
So
Yeah, there's nothing else Smokey needs to do outside of the suit stuff.
Perfect. All right. Yeah. So in that case, Zuchy and Smokey, why don't you go ahead and give me helping rolls?
Don't they just have to beat
It's
a 2?
going
I'm
to
trying
be-
find it.
What was that?
I said, don't they just have to beat a 2? I'm trying to find it.
Yeah, it's half the DL.
Oh, half the DL.
So
Okay.
the two of you just have to be it's 2 below the DL. That's right. In order to upgrade parts, it's DL 4. So Zuchy and Smokey, you just have to make brains checks, a brains test that against the DL 2.
And so obviously we don't want to use my demolitions, but I do have engineering. So does that help?
Unfortunately, no.
No.
No,
So
but
it's just a
I'm-
straight up. It's
Actually,
just a straight up.
engineering.
How about an
might-
extra die?
Yeah, sure. I'll give you an extra D6. So you
Okay.
won't get the bonus. You won't get the plus, but you'll get an extra die. It's kind of like a corollary skill.
Okay.
See, John, we're doing it.
And
This is
just-
how it works.
And just for reference sake, like Zuchy would be there the whole time helping out. Like he wouldn't leave Huxley's side.
Yeah.
Even if he felt worthless in that instance, he'd be like, "Well, I'm here for moral support," that kind of thing. He wouldn't go anywhere else.
So when
Nice.
Smokey leans down to help Huxley on this, Smokey looks over to Zuchy and says, "You're in charge of the playlist, so let's get some music going." So Zuchy can be in charge of what music's playing while we're working.
Yeah, and Zuchy has an eclectic music library, so he would play just about everything. It would just be weird. It would be it would be Finnish death metal, and then there'd be some country, and there would be some new wave hip hop and stuff like that.
So as they say,
Awesome.
it's everything from ABBA to Zappa, right? So we've got the whole.
Yeah. Yep, exactly.
Okay, that's a 5.
Ooh,
Beautiful.
Yes, and
6 for me.
And what do we get? Holy crap! Awesome.
hell yeah.
So both of those are exceed by more than 1, which is a superior helping. You not only are just grease monkeys kind of handing wrenches along, but you're actually helping in a significant way. Both of you are now contributing a +2 to Huxley's roll, which means he is making his roll at all his rolls at a +4,
+5,
plus
baby. I
his
have mechanics.
+1 from his skill.
Hell yeah.
So
We're
for
gonna get this shit done
the
tonight.
right. So for the shielding upgrade on all 3 suits, that's going to be a mechanics roll, and then in order to do the battery upgrade, that is going to be an electronics roll.
I had that as
But
well.
you're rolling at a +1 for both of those, so they're gonna both go off the same stat anyway, so it really doesn't matter. You're rolling at a +5 for everything. Go ahead and make me some rolls.
All right, I would love to do so. So he comes up to his suit and he's talking through it, and you're handing him the wrong thing. He's like, "No, Mr. Zuchy, the one to the left, the one to the left. So he's got the little scallop on it. Yeah, that's the one." And he's just going through the whole thing with him. And high on the die is a 5, so that's going to be 10.
Oh, dear Lord. It's almost like snap and fit, right? It's like bloop, bloop.
Yep. The music's playing. Smokey's dancing around a bit, passing the tools from Zuchy to Huxley, and the mood is
Right.
good.
It's like a well-oiled machine, right? You
Mhm.
guys know, Huxley, because of all the prep you've done of laying out all the tools and everything, and it's like you lay them out step by step. So Zuchy is able to actually grab the appropriate things, and Smokey has them, and the timing between the 3 of you is just perfect.
And while I'm doing that one, I'm like, "You saw those 4 screws, Mr. Zuchy. If you could start to loosen those screws, and I'll get this one in, and then I'll come over and I'll take that one out." And then he'll move on to Zuchy's suit. That's another 5 on the die. So 10. So 2
Another
yes.
10. Amazing.
Can we say it like halves the time? Like for the end, can we kind of like in Alien, some of these other systems where like when you get like a superior success, if you get extra successes, you
Oh,
could
yeah,
do
yeah.
stunts and things. So like, so my end would be, if you would give it to me, is like, because we're working so well together, and they're keyed into what I'm doing, and they're kind of like prepping ahead of me, that it's it just cuts our time down by just a shit
Oh,
ton.
absolutely. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. In fact, go ahead and give me that third roll for the shielding. And if you can get somewhere around the same.
2 6s, baby. It's 11.
Holy crap. So, all right, here's what we're gonna say. I mean, those are phenomenal results, right? So the prep work and everything, you all three are working in tandem with Huxley, kind of loosening everything up, Zuchy taking it down, Smokey putting it up, Huxley kind of putting it back, fixing everything in. That you three are able to work basically on all 3 suits simultaneous, because you're also doing, effectively, you're working on the same model chassis, you're putting in the same shielding, right? So it's just like repetition.
Yeah.
Right. So you're actually able to get all 3 suits upgraded at once within the same day. So what would have been a 3-day process if you were working on each suit individually, you have now turned into a 1-day process of about 7 hours to upgrade all 3 suits.
I imagine at this point, like, there's a crowd. There's like 4 or 5 guys just like sitting like, the fuck?
Yeah.
And like Zuchy, it like before, where he's like, oh, I don't know where this thing goes and whatever. Like when he's loosening stuff, he's like actually helping out. So he does like a wrench, and he like spins it and then catches it, and then just it's like, oh, here, and like at one point like uses his like martial arts to kind of like make a show, because he knows that people behind him are just kind of looking in, and he's like, and at one,
Right, like
one
people
point,
are-
like at one point, like Zuchy's like, if I can make this go 7, if I can make this go 7 turns, and you owe me a beer, and then he like does it and like catches it, and people are excited about it,
So in between when Huxley's coming up from the suits and standing there, so Smokey will just kind of elbow him like jokingly and just say, "You didn't take anything from Miss Joanna's stash before you started working on this, did you?" With a smile on his face, because everything's going so quick and good. You're working so good, you got yourself an audience. I just wanted to make sure you didn't add some extra stims to to your work here, because you've done an amazing job, kid.
Well, thanks. And then he like turns and he looks, and then he kind of gets red because there's fucking people watching. He like awkwardly waves. No, I mean, you guys are a lot of help. This would have taken me a couple of days if you guys weren't helping out like you are.
I think most of the credit goes to you. I think Zuchy and I were just your typical grease monkeys passing the wrench back and forth. So I'm glad it all went well.
Yeah, and you guys helped a lot.
And I'll look back to the the people standing there, and just say, make sure you remember the kid's name. If anybody needs any kind of suits, any kind of tweaking of the suits, you know where to come to.
He's already counting his money.
Yeah.
Well, you want to talk to my boy over here?
I think Smokey was doing it more to just for Huxley, right? So I don't think he was. Yeah, he wouldn't think it that way. He would just think, make sure you throw your business Huxley's way, kind of thing. And he wasn't. He wasn't trying to be
his promoter.
He wasn't trying to be Don King, right? He's trying to puff up Huxley, just to give him a bit more. Puff him up a bit, give him a bit more confidence and stuff like that.
Which is pretty smart because that could be another revenue stream then.
Wait, there's no
Right.
I in team, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
I mean, for
like
him,
there
not for
are,
us.
yeah, some of the more wealthy runners that don't have the knowledge or the know-how or capacity to upgrade their own suits do pay to have their suits upgraded. They basically say like, here's the rep to buy the parts you need, and here's the rep for your labor. Like, upgrade my suit.
Yeah.
So, like you said, that is a way to do it.
Definitely.
All right. So now here's the question. So you've been working on this suit for about 7 hours, all 3 suits for about 7 hours now. Do you want to try to push through and also install the battery now, or do you want to wait on that till tomorrow?
So he, like they're taking a break, like they got all the shielding on, right? And maybe Smokey brings over some food, right? Like, hey, why don't you take a break, kid? Like that kind of thing. And I guess as they're like sitting there eating and drinking, he says, well, it's getting kind of late, but I know this is important. So if you guys want to, I mean, we could try to finish this tonight and then, maybe leave like a little bit later in the morning. Do you think that'd be okay? Would she be mad?
So I think from Smokey's standpoint, he wouldn't want to rush it, right? So when we were all chatting, we said we were going to go make the run in the morning. So I'm assuming all these discussions of, okay, let's run. And then Huxley said, yeah, you're not going to make it. And then we started working. So this is kind of later that day.
Mm-hmm.
So Jesse, so we said Marla was looking a bit, she kind of left, and I'm just trying to think, is there, so Smokey would not want to push it. If we start tomorrow, to him, it's not a big deal. I just don't know if there's a way we can quantify that.
Yeah, and I mean, even so, in terms of the run to Zane, there wasn't a like necessity to have it done immediately.
I think, and that's what I think when we were describing it was, she's getting antsy, but whatever's out there has been sitting there for a while anyways, right? It's not gonna
exactly.
get up and
This
walk
is
away.
Yeah, I mean, and she told you, like, there was a runner that was supposed to pick it up.
Yeah.
But he ended up taking a different different haul and left hers behind.
Yeah.
So
I think Smokey would, tell Huxley, he would say, I think you did an amazing job. I don't know if we want to push our luck. You've done really well, and we you got an audience. I wouldn't want you to get tired and, set yourself back or set the suits back. So I don't think there's any rush. If we want to tinker around a bit around the edges, if there's some stuff we can, make shinier or whatever. But for the big work, I would say we would just, take a break and do it in the morning.
Okay. I mean, if you think so, would be nice to get a good night's sleep, but if we wait till tomorrow, we might lose some of the light if we get too late of a start. If we do it now, then, we can always, we could still leave early. We just maybe, we just be a little tired.
So from the light standpoint, I'm assuming we've got headlights, right? So it's not that big a deal.
Yeah.
If we're saying what the run's going to be 11 hours.
Yep.
I forget what time of the year is it? I don't remember.
I think we said it's like late summer. So you got a decent amount of daylight.
And we're northern, right? So that would be.
Yeah, you are. Yeah. So you're looking at kind of a slightly, well, actually, I mean, you're looking at probably right now about 14 to 15 hours of daylight.
Yeah.
So
in the summer, the sun doesn't go down
usually...
here till 10 o'clock. It's miserable.
Oh, really? So there you go. I mean,
But
So
I
you're
usually
looking
don't
at
like
like
to
16 to 17 hours of daylight. So
Well,
I usually
mean,
don't
if you
like
get
to interject, but I actually think that, you know, we're on a roll. I mean, why not just keep it going?
as I said, there's three of us, so there's always going to be a winner or not a winner. There's always going to be, if one of us disagrees, there's always a chance that someone else wouldn't. So there's always going to be a result. If Zuchy says, you know, to roll with the luck, Huxley, if you're feeling it, then I say go for it. If we get,
I think it'll be okay. We're already dirty. Wipes his hands all over the jumpsuit.
so
Coveralls.
if we're gonna keep going, I'll go get us some more refreshments and food, and I'll make sure it's how would Smokey phrase it? I'll make sure the refreshments don't have any extra kick in them, or not extra kick, anything that would bring us down a bit. So I'll go get us some monsters and not any Coors Lights or anything.
Okay, we'll get started.
Yeah, so I'll just Smokey will just grab some more drinks and some chips and pretzels or whatever just to keep us going.
Yeah. All right, Mr. Zuchy. This one's gonna be a little bit, maybe a little bit harder, kind of a little bit, because you have to get in there, and the space is kind of small. But if you could get your hands in and kind of hold it here, and then I'll come in from around here, and you're in front, and then he's like around you, with no sense of like personal space, just like all up in your face, and fucking doing all the things. Oh, that was not as great, but it's still a 9. 4 on the die.
wow, all right.
2, 3,
Beautiful.
4. I told you this one was a little harder.
It's not work if it ain't hard, son.
So we'll say you got a pretty early start on all this. You started somewhat earlier in the morning, say around 10. So right now, when you finish the suits, including like a lunch break and you're probably looking at about like 8 o'clock at night. And so this
late.
will probably.
I figured it's going to be like midnight by the time we finished everything.
Well, yeah, exactly. So by the time you finish installing the battery on the T-71, it's a little bit past midnight. But you've managed to install all of the upgrades of the suit within a day.
And I would stay even later than that, because then I would clean all the tools, I'd put everything away, I'd wipe everything down, I'd check the suits again to make sure that I didn't fuck something up, that all the connections are good, and,
yeah,
especially for the
run
battery,
diagnostics.
Right? Yep, definitely.
So if Hux is going to do that, then let's say Smokey went unless Jesse, unless you want us to play this out. Smokey would have went and got the parts and explaining what we're going to do and the swap and all that kind of stuff. And maybe in the morning, while Huxley's, cleaning everything up, Smokey will pull Zuchy aside and say, let's give him a couple extra hours sleep in the morning. So I'll get up and I'll take the parts that we're going to trade in. I'll take them and hand them in and give, Huxley an extra hour or two of sleep in the morning while he's still working.
Sounds like a plan.
I got a feeling you're going to be up early anyways. I'll be up. So let's let the kids sleep a little bit.
Yep. He deserves it. He earned it.
You look over, he's head down, tapping on a tablet, the wires all connected to shit.
So if Smokey will look back over his shoulder and say, Huxley, not too much longer. You got to get some sleep.
What? Yeah. I wanted to finish up the diagnostics. I want to make sure that all the power couplings were just a minute. Beep, 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 beep.
And then Smokey will gather up the equipment he's going to take back, or the parts he's going to take back in the morning, and kind of go stash them, I guess, in our lockers or something. And then I'll come back in the morning to get him to take them over. And then, he'll peek his head back in to make sure either Huxley's not there or he's wrapping up.
Sounds good.
I start flicking the light switch on and off.
There's something wrong with the power.
Finish up. It's bedtime.
Okay. And, you start detaching all the wires and shit. Packing up the rest of the stuff. You guys, we were such a good team. You guys helped out so much. I'm telling you, this would have taken a couple of days. This was a lot of work.
Oh, sorry. I think most of the heavy lifting was done by you. Me and Zuchy were just the grunt work in the background. I think you can take most of the credit for all the good work that was done tonight.
I wouldn't do that.
I know you would. That's why I said it. I know you wouldn't, but I want you to take it anyways.
All right, so we're gonna leave in the morning then.
Yeah, Zuchy and I'll come by and get you when we're ready to go. Make sure you put an extra hour or so on your alarm. Don't get up too early. You put in a lot of work tonight.
Okay, I guess we don't want to leave too late though.
We won't. Don't worry. We got you covered.
Okay. Well, I'll see you guys in the morning.
You're allowed to hit snooze a couple times. We'll make sure you don't sleep through it.
Okay, I'll tell Miss Joanna maybe wake me up before she goes to work in the morning.
Sounds good.
He wanders off.
And then I'll send a message to Miss Joanna saying, "Don't wake him up too early. Set an alarm when you leave for work and let him sleep in a bit." Yeah. So no, I will, if I can send her a message just saying, I'm sure Huxley said we're going out on the run. He did a lot of great work tonight. We're really proud of him. Let him sleep in a bit in the morning and we'll come and pick him up after you head out for work. He needs his beauty sleep.
And yeah, she'll respond to your message with a thumbs up.
Okay. And a middle finger after.
That's it, right? You see the dots.
Oh, a shaking fist, like a fist,
Yeah,
like
right?
a thumbs up and then a fist, right? Yeah.
You see the dots for like 30 seconds, and then there's nothing for about 10 seconds, and then you just get a thumbs up.
I'll take it.
It's clear that she had a few different replies in mind and just decided to keep it simple.
Yeah, I tried to make it a bit flowery that, he did a good job and we're really proud of him and all that kind of stuff. So I'll take that, right? She did give me a reply, so
Yeah.
baby steps.
Right.
And Smokey will be a good boy and go straight to bed, so.
Hey. All right. So yeah. The three of you have a Huxley will have a very good sleep. He burnt himself out, and the three of you overall worked for quite a long time, fairly hard. So pretty uneventful nights for you, just kind of in a deep sleep, getting a lot of rest. Maybe not a lot of relaxation, but at least a lot of rest. So what is your plan for the morning? After Huxley's hit snooze a couple of times, Zuchy is up at his probably maybe 15 minutes late. You maybe hit the snooze button once, maybe twice, but
Smokey's assumption was that Zuchy was going to go and get a pre-run sneaky workout just from
right.
Smokey's going to go and take the other parts back and hand them in.
Yep.
And settle up the debts and all that with those. And, he'll say, look, in really good shape, 1 day of work. Huxley did all the heavy lifting on this. I'm sure you heard from some of the spectators we had that the kid did some amazing work. Make sure you keep his his name in the front of your mind. I think the kid's going to go places. He's got a real talent.
And yeah, they literally, it's the person you're talking to is literally just wearing like a big visor headset and like just scanning stuff that you give to them, and he could give zero craps what you're saying. Like,
that's all right. Smokey's,
doesn't give you.
Yeah. So I was just to say, Smokey's really proud of the work Huxley did, so he'll make sure he tells everybody he can. So.
Oh yeah. Sitting in the mess hall, telling everybody about what Hux did.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, you're a proud papa.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Well, you are at this point mechanically upgraded where you with your game plan, so you are shielded up, and with your game plan of your new power source for the T-71 and kind of feeding some power to Smokey, you should in theory be good to go for that part. Is there anything else you would like to do before heading out on your run?
I don't think so.
No. Because I think a lot of us were, the three of us, I think we were expecting to run the day before. So, I think Huxley did talk to Miss Joanna yesterday, and, so I don't think there's any other updates we need to do. At least Smokey doesn't, right? He knows what he gave the information to the other two guys about where we're going and what it's for. I think Huxley did talk to Miss Joanna already, thinking we were going to go yesterday, and then Zuchy
he would talk to her last night.
But I meant
we had to do this, and so we're going to leave tomorrow. So she know, like, it's all squared away.
But like the big, hey, I'm out of here, I got to run. That that was the kind of the day before. So
yeah. Does she have anything going on he wants to take care of, or no?
I think what Zuchy would be doing. Sorry, I was writing stuff as I was thinking. I think that what Zuchy would do is that he would do a certain training thing that he likes to do, where he takes a very modest pillow, not one that's quite full up, but not one that's kind of dumpy or whatever. And what he'll do is he trains by kind of I can't think of like a good thing to say. So kind of like floating like a feather kind of thing, where he will like hit the pillow in the air with his arms and his legs, and he'll try to keep the pillow in the air, meanwhile not like damaging the pillow at all. So he's trying to learn speed, but he's also trying to learn how to hit certain spots in the pillow.
Interesting. So you're working more so on like timing and precision, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because he thinks about his little scuffle with Mara, and he thinks that he's not the kind of person that thinks like, oh, he should be dominating versus every person. Everybody's got their strengths and their weaknesses, and he's he thinks that he's got to work more on those things that this pillow exercise will provide. So he just he thinks that this is probably the right thing to do, and kind of concentrate on that, and hopefully it will help his skills get better and help him out in the field. So
makes sense. I like it. All right. So yeah, in that case, it sounds like the three of you are ready to get suited up.
And just to confirm.
Oh yeah, go.
There's nothing in the direction that we're going, so we couldn't drop something off somewhere else along the way. It's kind of out in its own space.
Correct. Yeah. And so remember, as far as you could tell, the organization has no reference, no information on Tizane. Weirdly so. To the point where it's literally like a dark mark on the map. So as far as the organization goes, there's nothing official going out. So,
but we did find out that they deal in medical things and mechanical stuff. We were able to discern that. Okay.
I think we asked around, I think what Jesse said is, we asked officially, we asked around and there was no jobs. But then, we were saying the independent, off book kind of stuff, it's not frowned upon, but, we also didn't find anything that was taking us out that way anyway. So.
Correct.
Yep. Yeah. I just wanted to make sure we weren't missing something.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Cool.
All right. In that case, y'all can get suited up and get ready to go.
Suited and booted.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. All right. So once the three of you get suited up with your brand new to you shielding, it's very clear. Well, I will say it's very clear that it has been used and repaired a few times. As is in this area, like the shielding that you took off your suits and traded into them will then be used for another suits, for more suits. Right? That's just kind of how this goes.
It's scuffed. The paint doesn't match anything. There might be a nick chip in it. Yeah.
Yep. But it works. And that's what matters.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep. So yeah. The three of you kind of make your way down the lift gate out of the bay. And because when you're in a suit, there's really only one way to go in and out. It's not like you can like suit up and then go walk through town, right? I mean, I guess you could. You could, absolutely. And I guess that is an option that you could make if you would like.
Hey, if we paint these suits green and we put a big tail on it, we can pretend like we're Godzilla.
I think we've got enough
little miniature buildings. Yeah.
I don't know who took more radiation, Godzilla or us, so probably onto something.
So yeah. You go out the lift gates and then kind of circle your way around the city walls. And then once you orientate yourselves in the proper direction towards Sturbridge, you can go ahead and start kicking dust.
We do so. I think Huxley probably pulls out ahead without realizing a little bit just because he's faster.
Right.
For like the first little bit. And he's like, just chatting, talking, kind of mindlessly or whatever. And, then like looks and like no one's next to me.
Doesn't realize because I'm pretty sure all three of you are running shortwave comms, right?
Yeah.
So he probably doesn't realize until he gets a little too far away and he starts to hear the crackle of the comms kicking out.
Oh, hey.
You'll go pull back.
I thought you guys were right next to me.
We'll put on some traveling music.
Right?
What's the On the Road again? Was that by Canned Heat, right? Yeah. on the road again.
Nice.
Starts playing a little bit.
All right. So yeah, the three of you start to run, and you eventually the smog of Ingram starts to dissipate. And let's see here. I'm gonna put some where'd it go?
Wandering monsters.
Yeah. I'm gonna put a table to use. And oof, all right. So it is a you know how we mentioned how as long as if you're lucky enough to get that nice thick cloud cover, then you really don't have too much to worry about in Sturbridge. You're not lucky at all. It is a beautifully clear August day. And so even though, you know, you are up north in kind of the deserted tundrous area right now, leading into Sturbridge, you know, the sun is shining, beating down on you. There's a glare on the surface from kind of a little bit of the frost and everything. You can feel the heat on the side of your suit as the sun is just beating down on you. I mean, so far, not really an imposition. You know, as long as you kind of turn your head in the right way, maybe hold your hand up every once in a while to stop the glare right off of your visor. But
do the visors do like those glasses that change when you go outside? They turn into sunglasses. Make them a bit.
You have transitional visors.
Yeah, transitions. That's it.
Yeah.
And speaking of that, I'm assuming, and I can't remember if we did it on our last run. I'm assuming we have a pack of rudimentary stuff like water and hardtack and biscuits and stuff like that. Yeah.
Well, so that's the thing is that you can't really. I mean, in order to eat, you kind of have to take your helmet off.
Good point.
We were looking at buying a tent so that we could like do repairs or like medical stuff, but I think it was more money than what we had.
Yeah.
So we don't have, because I think it was like 3 rep or 5 rep or something like that.
Well,
something
so then,
like that, yeah.
So obviously, you know, people who do runs suit their bodies and their body clock to, okay, I'm going to be on a run, so there ain't going to be. So either you carb up before, you know, you have a big pasta dinner or whatever beforehand. Okay.
Well, that being said, I mean, so similar to astronauts, right, who can be in a suit for several hours, right? There are certain bodily needs that need to be taken care of.
So we got a still suit then, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So basically, like you can replenish, you know, anything that goes out can be filtered and turned into fresh drinking water.
I think that's the big thing, right? The food really isn't the thing; it's the water. You know, if you're saying,
and even then, you can have like a little pack, almost like a
gel,
like a squeeze pouch of like a protein slurry that you can basically just like have a little straw that you can suck down on every once in a while.
I was going to say corpse rations, but that's
it hasn't gotten that bad yet.
Yeah, we're a few thousand years off.
Who knows
from that
what?
yet.
You know, they got to do something with the rat problem, right? That's
yeah. So I think more it was the water thing, right? So yeah, if we've got like a tube in the helmet that, you know, gives us a bit of water.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there's probably like a little camel pack, and then it reconstitutes your sweat and your urine and all that kind of stuff. So
cool.
Yummy. Salty water. Yeah.
Still need a lot of garlic the night before.
So then Smokey's gonna to try to take asparagus. Smokey's gonna try to, you know, get a discussion going, trying to take everybody's mind off of, so let's have a poll. Would you rather be too hot or too cold? And we'll have some discussions on whether it's, the benefits. Well, if you're too hot, then you can take stuff off, but we really can't do that. If you're too cold, you put more stuff on. So, we'll have that conversation going around a bit of, is it better to be too hot or too cold?
Right now, it kind of feels like when you're when you're driving and you have the air conditioning on, but at the same time you have the sun coming in from the window. So it's like half of you is cold, half of you is hot. All right, so yeah, you begin to, as you're running, you start to see the remnants of what used to be Sturbridge here. It was a large but somewhat undeveloped city. You're not gonna, unlike your previous run, you're not gonna see like massive buildings, big businesses, that kind of stuff. This was kind of much more your New Hampshire, Virginia, Maine type of city, right? It's going to be smaller buildings, a little bit more spread out, big streets. But, it was one of the more populated cities. So, whereas you had Sabatha, that was more the commercial area, that's where you had a lot of your shops, your businesses, your offices, which made it a substantial target. Sturbridge was more so because of the large population, large, kind of quaint town, touristy area. So because of that, a little bit more spread out, but at the same time, that gives it kind of a little bit more of a flat but undeveloped terrain, right?
It's more like a big town than a city.
Exactly. Yeah. So as you're running along, you can somewhat easily find a main thoroughfare to start making your way up. And why don't you all give me a let's say either brains or psyche as like a perceptional awareness roll.
Which one? Which stat? I'm sorry.
Brains or
whichever,
psyche.
either brains or psyche,
Brains or
whichever
psyche.
one you want to go with.
Smokey.
And then I'm also a moron. Can I ask a question?
Yeah, of course.
What is Zuchy or Kurt? Is
thoroughvein?
Zuchy or Kurt saying that?
Is that both? Both. What's a thoroughvein or whatever you said it was?
Thoroughfare.
Thoroughfare.
Like
Basically like a
thoroughfare?
large street.
Okay. Never heard that.
So
in my
large
life, so I
street,
wanted to
wide
clear that up.
sidewalks, stores on either side. Yeah.
Okay.
Like a main street kind of thing.
Exactly, yeah.
Yep.
And you're going for a DL4, by the way.
So I got a 5.
Nice.
I got a 6.
I rolled 2 6s.
Nice. So a yes and 2 yes ands.
So Smokey was too busy skipping to the next track, so he was just a little bit behind, paying attention that the other two are.
I got brained the last time we were out. So
Blinded by the light.
Yeah, Huxley was blinded by the light last time.
Right. So we will say all three of you can notice kind of wandering about very mindlessly and so mindlessly and almost inactively, as if they're like a praying mantis waiting for a fly to land, or like a kind of like a spider just in waiting for the prey. But more so because it seems like they just have nothing to respond to, right? Up in the distance, you can see a sporadic group of mutants. Mutants in this case are basically people who got caught in the burnt and succumb to the radiation. Basically, their brains have just been fried, and their bodies kind of twisted into malformity. And you can see that there's maybe like 4 or 5 of them that you can see. And
How
they're
far-
just we'll say probably about 100 or so meters out.
Mr. Zuchy, what? How come those people don't have suits on? That can't be good. They're just standing there.
They succumb to the burnt, Huxley. They're hardly there.
Are you sure we can't help them?
I
don't think there's any kind of help that we can do.
Yeah, I think the only help that they would need is something we probably don't want to do if we don't have to. I think, as Zuchy said, I think they're too far gone for anything we can help them with. And I know that's hard to hear, but they were unlucky and they got caught out with no suits or anything. So there's not much we can do for them other than just keep ourselves safe from them.
And they don't see us.
Is that what your end is?
No, I don't think there's any way that they couldn't see us, right? I mean,
That's not necessarily true. So, like I said, you do all see them. And Huxley and Zuchy, you both will get an and. So, go ahead.
Kurt, you first, because I hate this part.
I think my and would be kind of knowing, because I've seen this before because it's happened to my family. I've seen and know how to possibly avoid them without any incident.
So, just real quick, do Smokey and Huxley know that about Zuchy, about his family? I know, Kurt, you described it, but I don't know. Is that something Smokey or Huxley know?
No, I think you guys know that my family is gone. You just don't know how.
Okay. I just didn't want to. Okay, cool. I don't want to play into it then if we don't know. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
I think for my end, tell me if this makes sense. That with Zuchy and Smokey's sort of explanation of what's going on, based on what just happened to us, we were attacked by people out in the burner. One person. That Huxley resolves himself that we may have to protect ourselves, right? Like and okay, I understand that we might have to do the bad thing again.
Mhm.
Well, it's like the
So
Hippocratic Oath.
basically, it would be the if you do happen to stir them, that you are resolved that you need to do something that you might not want to,
Right.
and so we're basically eliminating the
The
not
Hippocratic
necessarily
Oath, right? So yeah,
stop roll, right?
do no
Well, I
harm.
think we've kind of put into place that it's almost like to borrow a phrase from Cthulhu. It would be like a shock type thing in order for him to do any sort of like violent act.
Damage.
Yeah.
But this is kind of steeling himself ahead of time to the fact that he might need to do that.
Right. Miss Joanna said run away. She said protect yourself, make sure you come back.
Yep.
Then these guys are like, hey, there's bad people out here. Like, you did a good thing. Like all of these things are kind of going through his mind now.
Yes.
Of like, well, okay, I don't like this at all, but I have to make sure that these guys are okay, and that I go home because Miss Joanna will be mad if I get eaten by some monster.
Yep.
So
all right, so yeah. So
while we're doing that, Smokey will, he'll kind of look around. He's probably a step behind everyone else, not far, but just like a step behind.
Yep.
And he'll just be looking around, just he'll slow his steps a bit. Obviously, Zuchy's taking some, I'm trying to think of the word. He's trying to do some actions to. I can see either he's like starting to creep down, or heading off to somewhere. So I'll look to see if there's like any cover anywhere or anything to look at. And I'm assuming Huxley kind of freezes up, but after we told him, there's you can't really help them. All we can do is kind of help ourselves. I'm assuming, Huxley kind of stops and freezes and then, shakes himself out of it and starts going. So, I'll over the comm, I'll just say, it'd probably be good if we can try to find some cover. If, it's, there's one thing of, protecting ourselves. We wouldn't have to do anything. We wouldn't want to have to act on anything if we can get away with it. That's usually the path of least resistance. Let's see if we can sneak around them.
Mm-hmm.
Miss Joanna said we should just run away.
Let's not run yet. That make some noise. Let's see if we can sneak away or scuttle away. If we have to run, I'm all for running, but let's see if we can kind of creep away at the moment.
All right. So is that your plan then?
Yeah, just looking right. We've just been strolling along. We've noticed would you say 4 or 5 mutants? Is there any cover around? Is there anything we can, either get into and crouch down for a minute, or circle our way around?
Sounds good. So what we'll do is we'll kind of do a group. So I think, at least from what I'm getting from what you guys are saying, your initial attempt is going to be to try to get through or around this group without stirring them. You want to kind of make this as quickly and quietly as possible, right?
Right.
All right.
We're
So
still
what we'll
running,
do is
right? But like we turn down a side street or like take a parallel, alley or whatever that runs
not too far out of our way, but
right, yeah.
I think Smokey would, either fire him up or light him up, but he also is taking into consideration that, Huxley, and he doesn't want to. We've just started. I don't want Huxley, being thrown into the fire right off the bat. Right? We've explained to him that the best thing we can do is keep ourselves safe. I wouldn't want to, have mutant parts flying around after I blow them up. That probably isn't the look. These poor people, they got caught in something they couldn't, get out of, and I'm not going to go blow them up after I, tried to do the nice talk about. Let's just watch ourselves.
Right. All right. So in that case, what we'll do is we're going to kind of do like a group test, where each of you can kind of contribute you're all basically doing the same thing, but you're each contributing in a different fashion, right? So sounds like Smokey would like to kind of look for any kind of shortcut or cover that you can go through. How about Huxley and Zuchy?
Well, John's thinking, I think what Zuchy would do is he would think like he knows kind of some aspects of it. He's like, okay, so we can use our suits and we can go a certain, we can go up to a certain level with our power, but once it gets to a certain level, it gets to a certain noise that's going to trigger them. So Zuchy's like, we can hit at this certain level, and as long as we're not making any like sudden movements and like just kind of taking our time to get to a certain place, even if we're trying to dodge between things or whatever, then it shouldn't get their attention.
Nice.
So with that in mind, I think Huxley just tries to be stealthy, to try to be careful in like where he's putting his feet, and just try not to do any of the things that he said we shouldn't do.
Yeah.
Make sure you don't crank the suit up, don't kick any rocks, don't
Yeah. Perfect. All right, so all three of you go ahead and give me whatever role you think fits. Use whatever skill you think would apply. And you all, because of Zuchy's first roll, because of your and from first discovering them, will get a +1 to this roll. It is going to be opposed, so I'm going to be rolling for the mutants.
Well, they're not paying attention, right? So that's probably good.
Yeah.
I think it's pretty apropos that I'm wearing my X-Men sweatshirt.
Oh, thank God, nice. So the highest that I got was a 5. So if you can beat 5, then you're clear.
I rolled a 4 total, 3 on the die.
Oof. I rolled a 5, so that's a 6.
So no butt.
I rolled a 6 +1, so that's a 7 for me.
Oh, there you go.
Nice. And sorry, so we had a 7, a 6, and what was Huxley?
4.
4 total, even with the bonus?
I got 2 3s and a 2.
I love how defeated he is. Oh.
So could not to jump on Kurt's end, but could Kurt's end cover Smokey, right? Because he's at a 5, so he would only need a 1 to bump it, right?
No, I got a 6. It was a 5. I rolled a 5.
That was a 5. It was a 5 +1 is a 6.
Yeah, so I rolled a 5. Yeah.
I was gonna say, because if he can cover Smokey, then I'm coming around a corner, just like kick the shit out of like a metal trash can. Like,
right, yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, so we got a yes and a yes and then
a
no but. So what is your so first off, what is Zuchy's yes? So you are able to kind of manipulate your power, manipulate your suit, get through in a stealthy enough manner that you do not disrupt. You don't gain any attention.
So Zuchy got the yes and Smokey just got the
correct.
Yes. Yeah. So I guess.
Yep.
So Kurt, I think it was the and. Yeah. So what's the and?
Yeah.
I think that I kind of like going with what John was kind of talking about. So like instead of it like clanging like forever, I think like Zuchy would like just kind of like hold it and kind of like give Huxley like a look like, what are you even doing? That kind of thing,
I'm sorry.
And then he like puts his metal finger in front of his face.
Okay. I didn't mean to kick it. I didn't see that it was there. I just came around the corner. Why are we back in here?
Well, if you were better at walking than you were your tools, we'd be great.
So Huxley, you got a no but. So, no, you weren't able to successfully stealth through without gaining attention, but
They don't see us, right? Like they hear it, but they don't see
right,
us.
yeah.
Oh, that's good.
So you knock into this half melted, twisted trash can left over on the side. It's kind of like next to an archway that like leads off of the street into like a side walkway going to another to like a little breakout area. And can you smack into that, and that starts to roll into the street, kind of thumping in. But Zuchy is able to kind of pull Huxley back in time, and so you actually aren't seen, but you can now hear the shuffling and kind of from the mutants now beginning to stir, and like one of them hears it and snaps his head around, and as he begins to move, it chain reacts throughout the other ones, so that now they kind of move over towards the can and begin to move back down, like up the street in the direction that you were planning on heading. So they didn't spot you immediately, but they are now
Moving.
actively, they are active again.
Yeah. What do we do? What do we do now?
Is there a way for us to dart past them without them getting to us, depending upon how many feet away they are?
You can certainly try, yeah.
Because I think, so Zuch, I'll do it in Zuchy's voice. So like Zuchy's like, well, I think stealthing is out of the picture now. We either got to make a run for it or we got to fight.
So we were coming up the street and they were, here-ish, right? So if we kind of came around this way, or are they coming this way behind us, or they're like coming to like intercept? Not that they know necessarily that we're moving this way, but they're just sort of shambling.
Yeah, they have no idea where you are. So say they were kind of scattered out amongst the street, and you came up on the left side, probably around some blown out building fronts, and some walls, up along the left side. So when you hit that barrel, they kind of start to stir and make their way to the left and then up. So they're not making their way towards you necessarily. They're just kind of out and about now. So I mean, absolutely, you could try to rush past them. They just, they're a little bit more of a moving target right now, that you'd need to avoid, but it's possible.
But we had eyes on them. We know which way that they're going.
Exactly. Yeah.
When Zuchy pulled me back in.
Yep.
Well, if they're going, we were going to go that way. If they're going to go that way, should we cross the street? Well, no, because then they're still going the way we're going. Should we just run down this street and hope they don't see us?
I would think the best plan of action now is just book it and see if they follow. Let's just try to get as much space between us and them as we can. And then, because chances are they're not going to be able to move as fast as us.
What if we throw the can, like just right out here, and then they'll turn around and we'll go the other way.
Ooh. How about? I'm trying to think if Smokey has anything. So I don't know how far or easy we can throw a can. Smokey's just trying to see with his equipment if he's got something he can throw and make it explode in a different direction, right? Can I?
Just say you still have some blast paste, right?
I was going to say I have blast paste, and I'm trying to remember.
Just a little tack of blast paste on a brick. Just go ahead.
Well,
because
not only that,
Go
we're
ahead.
in the suit, right? So like we're, quote unquote super powered. So I'm assuming, a metal trash can we could huck, like a fucking block,
sure.
right? I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
we're carrying tons of material or whatever at a time.
So let's do this. That sounds good, Huxley. How about either you or Zuchy take the can and throw it that way, and then, Smokey will pick up a rock to put some blast paste under, and then Smokey will throw it that way. So then, we'll throw one, give it 5 seconds so they look that way, and then throw it in a different way and then look that way to distract them, and then we go the opposite way, right?
Zuchy puts an arm on Smokey and he says, whoa. Hey there, cowboy. I don't know if we need to alert like the whole world that this is happening. Just because we seen a couple of mutants here doesn't mean there's going to be more around.
Look, my first thought is always to blow stuff up, but you're probably right. Let's just go with Huxley's pan.
With a name like Smokey, I'm not surprised.
Let's throw the can, and then I'll keep the blast paste in case we need it. So maybe I was overthinking that a bit. But obviously that's Smokey's first resort. His first thought was, okay, if I stand in the back and have them run, I can get my flamethrower or throw some explosives, but I don't want to light a bunch of people up where Huxley can see and or smell it. So
right.
Yeah.
Yes, let's
Zuchy
go with throwing the
volunteers.
can.
He's like,
Okay.
I'll throw it.
Okay.
You guys be on the lookout.
Okay. So let's get into our starting positions. Smokey will throw the can. Zuchy, you'll throw the can. Make sure you're not too far behind us. Or chances are I'll be closer to you than Huxley once he starts running. So, Smokey will just keep an eye, when we do that Zuchy doesn't like trip or, get distracted or fall behind too far.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. So Zuchy, why don't you go ahead and give me a might test? And if you want to use any of your skills, like your martial arts or anything like that, I'll let you go ahead and use that.
Okay.
It's kind of like training.
Okay. Yep. That sounds good.
Oh, you got athletics. Why don't you use that? That makes more sense.
All right. Sounds great. I'll do it. That is a 6.
Oh, beautiful. That's a yes and. So yeah, you basically like a sack huck this trash can, so it sails across the street, smacks into the side of a building, crashes out a window, clangs down to the ground, and all 5 of these mutants just like kind of slowly like crick over to the side, and a couple of them begin to shuffle over, and
they start dancing to Thriller. Just so your description there.
Yeah. And we get a good head start on them.
Perfect. Beautiful. Yeah. So I'm going to give all 3 of you, because you're already hidden. You already kind of have that leg up. Plus with this distraction, and it's kind of giving you a little bit more of a clear shot. All of you are going to get a +2 to this roll. Just give me a grace roll. for basically maneuvering yourself up and out of up and through this group, and beat a, let's see here,
Beat it.
a 4.
Got an 8.
Whoa!
I got a 6 on the die. Plus 2 is 8.
3 plus 2 is a 5.
Nice. That's a
Which-
yes.
That fits Smokey.
I also got a 5.
That's
that
2
doesn't
yeses.
fit Zuchy. Maybe
Yeah, we'll
Zuchy
say, like,
sees
Zuchy,
Smokey
like-
struggling. Yeah, he looks back to the old man.
Yes.
He's keeping pace with him.
Yes, he puts an arm around him, and we hop away like we're going down the yellow brick road.
Oh,
Come
Get
on, we
this
gotta
old
go. We gotta
bastard
go. We
moving.
gotta go. Yep. I'm like a half a block up already.
All right. Yep.
You said run. What are you doing?
we're running. We're running. We're doing the best we can.
I threw a trash can.
All right, perfect. So yeah, you with the distraction and blowing out of cover and everything, Huxley hops over the wall. Zuchy goes through. Smokey basically barrels something out of his way and goes shooting up the main road, easily making it around the mutants, who attempt to follow for maybe a minute or so and then give up. At that point, you're far out of sight. The area here starts to get a little wobbly in terms of hills. Still sticking to the main street, and the street kind of turns here and there, but not too much. And you're running for probably about a half hour, 45 minutes or so at this point, and it looks like things kind of start to clear out ahead of you as you come cresting up to the top of this hill. And it's almost like a car that's going a little too fast, right? Yeah, like you're coming to the hill and you get as you run, you kind of manage to get like a little bit of air time as you jump through, only for a brief second, right? A few steps before you come down, click, click, click onto the other side, onto the street. And then you realize, though, that the clearing that you thought that it was kind of coming to the clearing of the city. In actuality, you're seeing just the utter decimation of this bomb that had dropped, just clearing all the buildings from the force that it dropped. And you kind of have like a high view of all of this, where you're just seeing like stalagmites of rubble, or stalactites. No, mites. Yeah. Stalagmites of
Stalag
rubble
bottoms.
just popping up. Yeah. Stalactites hold tight to the ceiling. And just the barest of carcasses of buildings popping up out of the ground here. And it's to the point too where in this area there's not a ton of growth. There's some bushes, some scrub brush and things like that, but not a ton of life. But the one thing that you are seeing is just 100 or so, maybe, wandering little figures, just like ants in a like ants on in your backyard, just wandering ever so slowly, just in a giant mess within this area.
We're really gonna have to talk to Marlo when we get back.
That doesn't seem good at all.
No. Where's where do the coordinates take us?
Pulls up his wrist, taps a couple of buttons, pulls up the map. Does it take us
Right over
through?
there.
Yeah. He starts to do some calculations. How much time would it add to go around this space? Like, how big of a space are we talking about?
That's a very good question. Let's see here. Let's see, 7. It would add probably about an hour, little less, if you wanted to fully navigate around.
So he, finishes up his calculations and says, well, Mr. Zuchy, because you have the new battery, we should be able to make it. If we go all the way around, it'll take maybe another hour. So between the two of us, we can transfer power to Mr. Smokey, and because we were gonna have to do that anyway, because we didn't do his battery. So. But because we were already going to do it, so if we had an hour, it should still be okay, because we should come in and he like taps a couple more things. Well, we should still have like 3 hours left on our suits, so it should be fine.
And Zuchy looks at Huxley like he's like, "Why are you talking to me about it? Just do it when you get the fuck out of here."
Okay. And he starts to like run at like a 45-degree angle to start to navigate around this space.
Yeah, I think I think if we're saying under an hour to go around, it would probably take us more than an hour to try to fight through all of that. So, path of least resistance.
Yeah.
There you go.
And even if they wander outright, then if we have to deal with pockets of 4 or 5 or whatever, like we can do that, or again try to run away from them or whatever. But it's not hundreds.
Before we get too far away, Huxley, make a note of where we saw the mutants a little way back, and make sure you mark this on the map of big patch of mutants.
Okay. Next time we take a break, I'll put it in. I don't want to trip.
That's good. Yeah, I don't want us to trip either. So it was more of a mental note for all of us to make sure we mark this down when we get a second.
Yeah, thank you for mentioning it. I didn't think of it.
And whatever the coordinates are, while we're standing there, Smokey will just repeat them in his head for a couple minutes to make sure he remembers them.
Well, we have the map, like the original map planned out. So it's like Google Map, you just choose which line you want. So like
go back.
The original map is still there.
Mm-hmm.
So we would have the coordinates already anyway.
Okay, cool.
All right. So you are going to try to make your way then around this area and go through instead of tempting fate with the masses.
Absolutely.
We reject your plot completely, sir.
That's what it's all about. All right. So yeah, we kind of get them as they've like crested the hill, get a little bit of air. We'll say you actually like kind of slide to a stop as you see this. So your conversation kind of happens at a trot at that point. Huxley recalculates the route using some information, some old mapping data that he has, and you start to make your way around, and the camera will kind of, as you run, the camera kind of pulls out a little bit so it sees the three of you starting down this side street, cutting off of the main road, and it encapsulates both the three of you kind of fading out around some buildings, and also finally fading out onto this massive field of essentially zombies wandering about.
Nice. Dig it. Cool.
There we go.
All right. I want to thank everybody for checking it out. We appreciate you hanging out and watching and all that stuff. There's links in the show notes. You can check out Midwest Resin Geek. Kurt's wife Tracy does awesome resin dice and other accoutrement, as I'm want to say. She's got some really cool stuff there, so you can check that out. There's a link for core products in the show notes as well. Core Cthulhu's on version 2. I'm kind of working on version 3. Things have happened. And Runners isn't available yet, but Monster Hunt's available. WWA, there's tons of stuff there. And of course, all Todd's stuff as well. So thanks for checking it out. I guess that's probably it. And we'll catch you next time.
Peace.
Bye.